gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's March 22nd, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, we got football and basketball to talk a little bit about today. Basketball still got a couple days to go before the Sweet 16 game against Houston, top-seeded Houston in Kansas City. So let's start with football. The Miami Hurricanes returned to the spring practice football field on yesterday. We were out there, and it really felt to me like they were starting all over again, quite frankly. I mean, when you have 3 practices, you take 10 days off and come back. It really, to me, is almost like you're starting over again. I'm a little bit surprised they choose to do it that way, but this is multiple coaching staffs now that have done it this way. And so they were out there in shorts and shells and helmets, obviously, and working yesterday. And I'll talk a little bit about what stood out to me, but let's start with you. We had, I don't know, I guess about a half hour or so out on the practice field. What stood out to you at practice yesterday?
What stood out?
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before. We're out there for about a half an hour. Defense is doing almost all individual drills. The offense, you see them, sort of line up in some different formations and walk through type stuff, which is nice to see the way they're moving and the different formations they have, which I'm excited about. They throw some passes, throw some balls into the net. When 7-on-7 starts, they very politely escort us out by yelling, "Losers, get off the field!" We know that.
No, they yell that to you, not to me.
We know that refers to the reporters. When they yell, "Losers, get off the field," all the reporters know, oh, that's us. We better get out of here. But what's encouraging to me is the hands-on nature of the coaching. The players seem to be somewhat not unhappy to be there versus last year. I wouldn't say they're happy. I'm not going to lie to people. They're not happy to be practicing. I don't know if some teams are happy to practice. Maybe they're not. They don't seem unhappy to practice, whereas last year and years before, I've gotten the vibe that they're not real happy to be out there. But they're getting their work in. They look somewhat functional. I do think the defense is pretty far behind the offense. I mean, they're really just barely starting to install stuff from what I can tell, whereas on the offense, they are already going like hurry-up formations and people running around and lining up where they're supposed to. And, the coach says do this and they run and do it, whereas on defense, it's just very basic right now. But maybe that's not a surprise. Lance Guidry said he's not adjusting to anything his players want him to, that players already knew from last year, whereas on the offense, apparently it's a little bit easier to figure out, which is what Xavier Restrepo told us yesterday also. And I could keep talking forever and do restaurant reviews, but nobody wants to hear from me. So Gary Ferman, back to you.
All right. Well, let me tell you what stood out to me. And I would say the way the quarterbacks are just throwing the football so much better. And, talking about top to bottom, Tyler Van Dyke. He always is sharp. He always looks good, quite frankly. I have massive improvement so far through these first 4 practices from Jakari Brown. And I can't explain to you yet why. I don't know what he has been doing these last few months, but this is a kid that looks markedly better, just doing the basic drills in practice. Now, we're not watching full speed scrimmage work yet. I'll qualify that. Okay. But his mechanics and the way he is just delivering the football, he's not Tyler Van Dyke at this point, but are much better than they were a year ago. So that's very encouraging. Also encouraging to me is the way Emory Williams looks. I mean, he looks every bit as good. He's got a much stronger arm than what he had the last time that I watched him when he was working out for Miami coaches, back when he was being recruited. And he absolutely looks right at home out there as a major college quarterback. And I've talked to people about him. They call him a gunslinger. I know the coaches have been very pleased by what they've seen from him. He's, just the strength of his arm and the way he's grasping the offense. He's a student of the game. So I'm encouraged by the fact that I believe Miami is really, really in a good place right now at the quarterback position, to the point where I had thought it wouldn't be out of the question if they tried to find yet another quarterback in the portal, because you're playing right now with 2 walk-ons. You really need 5 quarterbacks to run the program properly and effectively when you factor in all the different layers of practice and things like that. But I think they're going to stay status quo, and I don't think they will go seek another quarterback in the. They'll take care of that business in recruiting and find somebody that can come in January and join the party in the quarterback room. The other thing that's jumping out to me quite a bit, and I've confirmed this with people as well, is the way that the defensive ends are responding to the coaching of Jason Taylor. Not a huge surprise there. You could hype that up as much as you want. You got a Hall of Fame defensive end now coaching young kids at defensive end. But you could tell that they're being coached well, and people that have had the opportunity to watch practice have told me the same thing. So that's encouraging. I think we can expect to start seeing more and more big plays from the defensive end position. Another thing that has jumped out to me is the presence of Francisco Mayagoa at the linebacker position. And I think he's going to help enormously. This is a kid in major college football at Washington State. And he looks like when I watch him do the drills and stuff, he looks to me like he belongs out there. And I'm expecting to keep seeing better and better things as he learns the defense and they start going into full speed 11-11 work here in the next few weeks in full gear. So that has been encouraging to me. And so, baby steps in this regard. We're not getting to see an enormous amount of practice. I'm personally headed to the Sweet 16, so I'm going to miss personally Thursday and Saturday. Matt will be out there, and he'll be able to, build on what we're telling you right now. Azubi will be out there. He'll be able to build on what we're telling you right now. But those things have stood out to me here in the opening days of spring. Thursday, we will actually get an opportunity to talk to Mario Cristobal. So we should be able to get you guys even more insight as to what the head coach thinks after Thursday's practice. So you got that to look forward to here later in the week at CaneSport.com. All right. I guess, Matt, anything else you want to add on the football front?
Well, I mean, Jakari Brown, the wide receiver turned quarterback. I agree with you. He's looked very good. The thing with him is, I was talking to one of the other loser reporters who has to leave the field, and it's amazing to me. I think Jakari might be the best quarterback on this team for this particular offense, because if you turn on Clayton Tune film from last year, and for those of you that don't know who Clayton Tune is, he's either I guess a blues singer or the former quarterback at Houston that played under, or the quarterback at Houston that played under Coach Awesome. And last year, Clayton Tune threw for 40 touchdowns and ran for 546 yards and 5 touchdowns, not including yards lost on sacks, by the way. When they run the RPO offense with a guy like Clayton Tune, a defense has to pay attention. When Clayton Tune drops back to pass, they have to have somebody shadowing him, which takes a player off the back end on defense. There are numerous reasons why you want a Clayton Tune type quarterback in this particular offense, which is a hybrid run and shoot, as opposed to a Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke's a great drop back passing quarterback. I would not describe him as a running quarterback, okay? It's very evident to me that Shannon Dawson has extreme success with a running quarterback. I mean, we literally just saw it, at Houston. So to me, if Jakari can throw on-point passes and understands the offense, he's actually the best quarterback for this particular offense. Is he the better NFL prospect? No. Does he have the better arm and better accuracy? No. But that doesn't mean you're the best NCAA football quarterback on a particular team. Because let's face it, this is not a team with great wide receivers right now. You need a quarterback who maybe has that other dimension to really be an explosive offense. And what I was talking about with my loser friend was, we've seen it happen before, right? not that Tyler Van Dyke's going to get hurt, but if that happened, and if Jakari comes in and throws 4 touchdowns the next game and, looks amazing, Tyler Van Dyke might not even get back on the field the rest of the year. Like, that's the type of talent I think Jakari has if he has mastered the art of passing, and he's looked so much better this spring. But again, they've been in shorts the entire 4 practices. There's been no defense on the field. It's not like he's throwing into press coverage and trying to put a perfect pass, over somebody's shoulder or back shoulder throw, which, by the way, wasn't even in the offense last year under Josh Gaddis. It will be again this year. So until that happens, like, I'm not ready to anoint him. But if he is a better passer, if he is throwing on-target passes, he very well might be the best quarterback in this offense, which is crazy because Tyler Van Dyke is so good. Oh, and then you also mentioned Jason Taylor. Jason Taylor, yeah, whatever. I mean, you can't really see how he's interacting with guys, but yeah, he knows what he's doing. The guys rave about him. And then as for Francisco Mauigoa, is interesting to me because I think in the base defense, I think they're using a middle linebacker, or they plan to use him at middle linebacker. But I was watching a lot of these drills yesterday. They were really working a lot of linebacker and coverage drills. And in those situations, he was the second team outside linebacker, which says to me they don't feel like he has the hips. They don't feel like he has the speed. They don't, they feel he's more of a physical guy. And Miami plays so many teams that pass the ball to their running backs and maybe tight ends and the slot guys that I have a feeling Francisco Mauigoa is not an every down linebacker in this particular defense for Lance Guidry that prides itself on not being necessarily that physical, but being blitzing, aggressive, and fast. So it'll be really interesting to see because I saw with my own eyes yesterday, he was clearly in coverage, a second team outside linebacker. And that is what it is. I mean, I literally saw it. So I know you were raving about him. That's the only reason I'm bringing him up is because you were talking about him.
No, I think he's going to make a big impact this year. I really do. But just to close the book on what you're saying about the quarterbacks, like, I am definitely not ready to go to that level yet. I mean, we have not even, they'll have 3 scrimmages. We'll see how he does, or at least hear about how he does, one or the other.
His skill, Gary, I didn't say it's his skill set. And if he's a better passer, that's you say, wow,
I'll be happy if we can go into September feeling that if Tyler has to come out, or if Tyler, can't gets hurt again, that the offense can continue to run serviceably with Jakari Brown. And I'm not ruling out Emory Williams yet either, because we don't know how he's going to do in the competition. But he has made massive strides. Okay. Last year, when he had to go in the game, based on what we had seen in practice, I felt it was over. Like, I knew that they could not run a real offense. And I know they got out of the Georgia Tech game, okay, with Jakari at quarterback. And that was a horrible team. All right. They weren't beating anybody good last year with the watered down offense that they had to run with Jakari at quarterback. And I'm hoping that this year that's not going to be the case. And Shannon Dawson has proven that he can win with different styles of quarterbacks. Like, his offense will translate to both Tyler Van Dyke and Jakari Brown. He's not going to have Tyler Van Dyke running the ball the way he would have Jakari running the ball, but he would be able to quickly adapt in a situation like that. They will have it all ready, I could assure you. So the point I'm making is I'm trying to say that everybody should be encouraged by what's going on in the quarterback room and with the quarterbacks on the field. It is looking improved. Tyler is back to his old self, normal form. If he's healthy, he is without question this team's best chance to win a lot of games this coming season. Okay. He is a, if not elite, very close to elite level quarterback in college football. If everything's right, if he's got the receivers that are running the right routes, the offense is functioning the right way, and he's healthy. Okay. So that's option number 1 without question. But if they have to go to door number 2, or if Shannon Dawson decides, hey, Jakari's come along pretty darn, use him as a change of pace quarterback and give him a series here or there, play here or there, that, those guys think it's not out of the question that they would do that. At least you can feel good about it if he continues the progress that we're seeing. So I did want to communicate that to everybody, because I know that's been a little bit of a hot button, over the months. And I always promised that I would tell the story there as I see it, and I am seeing an improved story so far this spring. So that's something to be excited about. All right, let's switch gears now to the basketball team, which leaves later this morning for Kansas City, where it'll play Houston Friday night in the Sweet 16. And Matt, you've studied Houston quite a bit. We have a story on the website breaking down the Cougars. If you guys want to check it out, you can. Your just general thoughts, 48 hours away or so here from the Sweet 16 game against Houston, about the challenge that Miami is facing.
Well, it's interesting. So Houston, to me, just looking at Houston's like very similar to Miami, but just a sort of a more talented, more athletic Miami. They are guard centered, can hit 3-pointers. Not a really outstanding, huge team like Indiana was, which, if you just look at the Drake game and the Indiana game, I'm starting to think maybe Miami's actually better against the slower, bigger teams. Even though early in the year they had that huge struggle against Maryland. I think that's what they've evolved to, because they can crash the boards with all 5 of them and then hustle back on defense so fast so they don't get the rebound that these slower guys, they're not already running down the court on them. Against a team like this, it'll be a little more difficult because this team will get out and run on you. This team will scores really, really well. They have 5 starters all averaging in double figures. I think Miami has 4, but it's very similar, just balanced scoring. They arguably, Houston likes to say they have the best backcourt in the nation. I think Miami is pretty close with them. So it's a very. Was that me or you?
No, you're good.
Oh, I hear weird noises. So so basically, to me, it's a case of Miami sort of has to hope that this is a Houston team that maybe isn't quite as good as people think. Because let's face it, I think Houston hasn't played a lot of big opponents. I think they lost to Alabama and they beat Virginia. And other than that, I don't think they played anybody that's that great. They lost to, I think it was Memphis maybe in the AAC championship game or semifinals or something like that. So this is a team that basically has thrived in a conference that doesn't have a really great basketball opponents like the ACC does. But it's a team that's a number 1 seed because last year they made the Elite 8. They have a history with their coach of doing really, really, really well at the NCAA tournament, and they had a lot of guys come back. So basically, that's the reason they're a number 1 seed. But are they unbeatable? I mean, I don't think so. I think Miami can beat them if Miami's shooting like it did last game. If Miami plays the way it did last game, even if Houston plays a really good game, it'll be a close game. But if Miami's missing shots, if Isaiah Wong goes in the tank, like we've seen so many times this year, when for whatever reason, Isaiah Wong disappears or Nigel Pack's shot, not the last half of the year, but the first half of the year, Nigel Pack's shot was off. Even now they're getting a huge help from Wooga Poplar even and Harlan Beverly. If Wooga isn't 100% off that back injury, which he says he is, but who knows? If Harlan Beverly isn't stroking the 3 like he was last game, then you're in a dogfight and anything can happen. And if Houston's hitting its shots, if Miami isn't able to really have success on defense, there's so many different factors that go into all this. The one thing I know is that Jim Larinaga is a great coach. He always has done more with less, and now he actually has more, so he should do more with more. I think that's the math on it. And if you can do more with more, why can't you, be the top seed like the Lady Canes did?
Couple things jump out to me. I had a chance to watch a little bit of Houston's game against Auburn, and Auburn actually led at halftime, had a real nice first half.
Led by a lot.
Yeah, and Houston goes in, they refocus, and they come out like gangbusters, and they were playing suffocating defense, okay? Auburn gets held to 16% shooting in the second half, okay? And I listened to Auburn coach Bruce Pearl after the game, and he was talking about their spacing breaking down and things like that. So the one thing that really jumps out to me is Miami should expect hellacious defense from Houston, probably very similar to what they saw from Drake in the opening round game. And they have to be ready for that. They have to be really sharp offensively. They have to share the basketball. They have to keep their spacing, and they have to take good shots. I don't want to see guys like Anthony Walker trying to do things that they aren't able to effectively do with any level of consistency. This is a big ball game. Every possession matters. Norchad Omier got himself in trouble in game 1 when he started trying to freelance and go one-on-one. To his credit, he got it straightened out quickly. He stopped doing it, and he was perfect in game 2 in that regard. didn't, took what came his way, did not try to turn himself into a one-on-one player, which is suicidal, okay, against the team, the level of Houston. So hopefully those two things are the case, but they are going to have to be efficient offensively and keep their spacing on the floor. Okay, that's the first thing that stands out. The second thing that stands out to me is Houston is an exceptionally good rebounding team. So Norchad Omier is as good of a rebounder as anybody in the country. Okay, he's going to need help in this game, and I think they got to get the guards involved, and they have been. Like Isaiah Wong had, I can't remember if it was 7 or 8 rebounds in the victory the other day over Indiana. So they need, and Nigel Pack's been rebounding pretty well too, the last few games. So they need those guys to get involved as rebounders, not just scorers. If they can do all that, I'm with Matt. I think it'll be a close game deep into the second half. And hopefully the Hurricanes can find a way to come out on top. I do think that they are capable of playing with any team in the country. They're a versatile team. They can adjust to different styles here. And I think they are dangerous. I really do. I think I would not be the least bit shocked if Miami finds a way to win not just this game against Houston, but the next game as well, which would probably be against Texas. I would not be the least bit shocked if Miami is able to do this and get to the Final Four. But, at this time of year, you got to be playing your best basketball. So what they were able to do against Indiana, they have to be able to take that to a new destination, Kansas City, Missouri, and put it out there beginning Friday night and give themselves the best to win. We're not going to talk too much about women's basketball, but they're headed to the Sweet 16 as well. We'll have a little bit of coverage on them later today on the website. The men are leaving for Kansas City today. We'll be there to cover that, and we'll have some more additional basketball coverage for you guys later on today. Other stories on the website. We spent some time yesterday talking to Cam McCormick, the tight end that transferred to Miami from Oregon. Just an incredible story. I really encourage all you guys out there to check it out on the website. He is an 8th-year player. Matt, I've been doing this for a long time. I've never seen an 8th-year player. I don't know how the heck you stay eligible for 8 years. And the amazing thing is this guy can come back for a 9th year if he wants. I didn't do the accounting on all this. He kind of went through it in the interview year by year. But the bottom line is he got a lot of medical hardships. I mean, this is a guy that missed several seasons. He kept adding to his years of eligibility, and he's hoping to play tight end this year for the Miami Hurricanes. And I think you're going to see this kid can play. Okay, he's a good blocker. Also can be a factor in the passing game. I think he's going to be the number 1 tight end, even ahead of Elijah Arroyo. I really do. When they're done competing going into the fall. But this guy was a really good pickup. He's a tough kid, very, very solid human being. And if he does not get good reports on his NFL draft status coming out of this season, he does have the option to return next year for a 9th year. And Matt, that's just absolutely unfathomable to have a 9th year potentially player in college football.
Yeah, the best parts of his interview to me were when he was asked what year he is academically in school, right? Because you could be a 8th-year junior, which I guess he technically is, but what is he academically? A graduate senior? Like, what is he? His answer, I don't know. Because he's already got his undergraduate degree and his master's degree from Oregon. And now he's just taking some, it's like you were me, Gary, just showing up and auditing a class. He's just sitting in on some classes, doing a little bit of homework, just so he's eligible for football. He's done. The NCAA should make a special rule for him, where he doesn't need to go to school. What does he need to go to school for? He's got his degrees. Yeah.
He's basically not going to school. He admitted he's just taking classes just to be eligible.
Right. He's auditing classes, basically. He's
he's already got a grad degree. He's already got an undergraduate degree. He's already got a grad degree, both from Oregon. Okay. He's not, I don't think he's that interested in getting a 3rd degree, but he's going through the motions, taking classes just so he could be eligible to play football.
Right. And then the other part I liked about his interview, just because I'm a weird guy, I don't care about the football stuff. He's talking about his injuries, and he starts talking, 2016 this happened, 2017 he was able to play, 2018, and then he's talking, and he's like, wait a minute, what year am I on again? Because he's been so many years in college. How do you keep track? How do you keep track of your freshman year, your second freshman year, your third freshman year, your sophomore year, your second sophomore year, your junior year, your fourth junior year, your sixth junior year, your seventh senior year, but wait, you're not even a senior. Your eighth year, you're still not a senior. How do you keep track of that? I mean, it's like having a child continually having his 8th birthday for 8 years. They're not going to remember which birthday they had 7 years ago. Like, it's impossible to remember. It was like watching Cam McCormick try to explain what happened every single year with his injuries was like, me trying to remember what movie I last went to before COVID because I'm a crazy person. I haven't gone back since, except for Top Gun, which was awesome.
He was talking about all the injuries and he was also talking about his relationship with Mario Cristobal and how good Mario's been and how supportive Mario's been. And I'm thinking Mario's supportive because this kid's reminding him of himself. Mario Cristobal is not bashful about telling you that he has, 18 scars or something from all the surgeries that he had during his time playing football.
Didn't he play with like a torn ligament or a broken leg?
Oh, absolutely. Mario was as tough as a gut. Yeah. So, but so he probably sees a lot of himself in Cam McCormick, and he's been a great influence on Cam as he talks about the story. Everybody, check out that story on our website today. It'll definitely be worth your while. What else? We got recruiting stories on the website for you to check out. As always, a story with IMG Academy 4-star safety Jordan Johnson-Rubel. He's like I said, a 2024 prospect. He's picking up communication with the Hurricanes, hoping to visit Coral Gables at some point here coming up in April.
You forgot about the biggest story of the day yesterday.
What's that?
Xavier Restrepo saying how amazing everything is. The receivers coach is great. He's great. Tyler Van Dyke is great. Everybody's amazing. Like, I love the Xavier Restrepo interviews because there's some guys on the team every year who, let's face it, they get coached by the SIDs to, what not to say. It's why us horrible people are not allowed to talk to the true freshmen except for on media day and then barely because they need to be coached because God forbid they say, I'm not so good. I have to learn something. Everything's always great. But Xavier Restrepo has taken his training, not just on the field, but from the SID to a new level. Like, I have never seen a player this amazing at doing interviews because, like, if you listen to Xavier Restrepo, Miami's already won the last 8 national championships. They have the Heisman winning quarterback from the last 20 years in a row. And, like, he's never felt better in his life. Somehow he's eaten his own body fat to the point where he's at 10% body fat, and he's going to go even lower because he's going to keep eating his body fat until it keeps going down and down and down. And, like, it's amazing. So, as much as I know other reporters hate the Xavier Restrepo interviews, I actually love them because I think they're hysterical. So I highly encourage everybody to watch the amazing, talented wide receiver Xavier Restrepo to get an instruction. And all true freshmen should watch this interview and learn how to speak to the media because this is how to speak to the media. One sentence about how great everything is. Next question. That's it.
All right. I wasn't going to.
That's my take.
I wasn't going to include that on my list. I mean, we don't talk about every single story on the website.
I know. That's why I wanted to include it because he did such a wonderful job in the interview.
But yes, he did say everything's great. So
over and over again.
Those of you that want to.
By the way, he's the opposite. Like, that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? He's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm Danny DeVito. Like, he got all the good stuff. Everything's great. I'm Danny DeVito where, everything's terrible. Why am I stuck in this program that can't win 10 games for the last 20 years, So I'm Danny DeVito.
For those of you out there that want a dose of positivity this morning, yes, check out the story on Xavier Restrepo. All right, a couple other recruiting stories that we could talk about here that are on the website today. Albany, Georgia Dougherty running back Cam Davis. He's committed to Florida State, which obviously is one of Miami's biggest rivals. But that has not stopped Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes from putting on a full court press, and they are all over Cameron Davis. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, he's committed to Florida State right now. They are in control, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on because Miami has prioritized them. We also have a story on St. Louis, Missouri, 2024 four-star receiver Ryan Wingo. And Miami's trying really, really hard, Matt, to get this kid to visit. And he does have a real interest in doing so. So I would expect that to happen in the near future. So beyond that, like I said, we got a ton of stuff coming up today. We've got the basketball team. We will be at practice later this morning and get a chance to check out their preparations for the Sweet 16. Then we will have interview opportunities with a few players, Jim Larinaga. And then tomorrow, like I said, is football practice number 5, and Mario Cristobal talking after practice. So a lot of really good stuff to look forward to at CaneSport.com. I will be headed to Kansas City, and we will give you coverage from there of the Sweet 16. And hopefully Friday night is a victory, and then we can spend the day Saturday eating a bunch of barbecue. Thank you to everybody on the message boards that are sending your recommendations of barbecue joints in Kansas City. I will be checking those out and trying to figure out where the best place is to go. And looking forward to that, hopefully for more than just one day, to eat some of that Kansas City barbecue. I've never been to Kansas City, so I'm actually looking forward to that, believe it or not. So thank you so much for starting out your day with us on this show. If you like it and you like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us grow our audiences and with the algorithms at YouTube. If you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, we do have a $10 spring special still going on. Please come join our community of Canes fans, and your subscriptions do allow us to do what we do here at CaneSport every single day. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time, everybody.